Hello and welcome back to the channel. So today I wanted to make a build video on Dante. So if you don't know about Dante, he came out around the same time as Whisper in the Walls, and his abilities are a little weird because you combine them all together to make new abilities. So I'll start off with his passive and then we'll go into the other ones. So his passive, you have an exalted weapon for Dante called Noctua, and Noctua automatically scans targets for your codex. And if they've been scanned, then against that enemy, you gain 50% increased status chance. Your first ability is Noctua. You summon your tome. This is Noctua here, and here's my build for it. Noctua is kind of like Mesa's pistols. It uses pistol mods as well for modding, so here's my build for it. I have Hornet Strike for flat damage, Pistol Gambit for crit chance, Pistol Pestilence for toxin and more status chance, Gunslinger for more fire rate, Auger Pack for more damage, Target Cracker for crit damage, Slash from Carnage Stinger, and then Razor Shot for more damage. So basically Noctua, I don't use it too much, but you can combine your abilities together to get a mini Noctua next to you, which I believe uses these same mods. So now going into his weirder abilities, you have Light Verse on your 2, Dark Verse on your 3, and Final Verse on your 4. So with Dante, you combine Light and Dark Verse to create new abilities with Final Verse. So if you do Light Verse twice and then hit Final Verse, it'll give you Overguard. If you hit Light Verse and then Dark Verse, it will summon a mini Noctua to float next to you. If you do Dark Verse and then Light Verse, you'll summon these birds that'll fly around and attack the enemies. And then if you do Dark Verse twice, you will do a gigantic AoE explosion that's anything that's in your line of sight will take damage from it. Now, that's all for his abilities, because your 4 is just your activator, so you hit any combo of these two, and then you just hit 4, and it'll activate the ability. Now, for Dante, the build I have here is Growing Power, which, when you do status effects, you'll get 25% increased ability strength, Auger Reach for more range, Prime Continuity for more duration, Flow to increase your energy max, Adaptation for some damage resistance, which you don't really need this one realistically with Dante because of his Overguard, but I have it here just because you never know if I'm not paying attention or whatever. And then I have Stretch for ability range, Blind Rage for more strength, Streamline for some efficiency because Blind Range makes you lose it, so this kind of counteracts that, Umbral Intensify for more strength, and then for the Exilus slot, I don't have it yet because I haven't gotten a thing for it, but I would slot on Power Drift, or if you have it, Prime Sure-Footed, but I don't think you need that because I'm pretty sure Overguard prevents knockdown. So I would stick with something like Coation Drift, or another mod that gives you more strength, basically. And then if you don't want Adaptation, I would throw on something like Transient Fortitude, or something like... yeah, Transient Fortitude is what I would throw on here, because I think that's a really good fit. Which actually, I'll do that anyways. That'll bring our strength up to 230. And then Adaptation's nice, but all that does for us is just give us damage resistance, and you don't really need that when you have Overguard. And then I have Arcane Energize just for the comfort ability of more energy, and then Molt Augmented for more strength. So, with Dante, seeing as his passive Noctua scans and gives you more status chance, I am running Torrid and Karnan with him, which I'm not going to show the build because it's not finished yet. I don't want to show you a bad build. Melee and secondary don't really matter, they're mostly preference. Same with Torrid, just any status weapon will do. And yeah, that's the build for Dante. We will jump into a mission and I can show everything off for you. So I just came to Elite Sanctuary Onslaught to show this off because this build's not anything that's going to murder through or slay through Steel Path or anything like that. I use Dante mostly for relic farming and anything Duviri related because he's really good there. Because this build's not one that I have that's just going to obliterate Steel Path. So going in, I can show you what his abilities do and kind of how they work. So your first ability, firstly, what you're going to want to do loading into any mission, I'm going to run away from these guys for a second. So what you're going to want to do is hit Light Verse 4, and you can see up in the top right hand corner, now we have this light blue health. That's Overguard. So that basically makes it to where until they get through that, you will take no damage. So Dante with his abilities, the way they kind of work is you want to keep your Overguard active, which you can see here. Now we have 15,000 up there in the top right. And so what you want to do for Dante is kind of hit all your buttons. This one here, if you do dark verse, light verse, you'll summon these birds. And the birds, they'll fly around and attack enemies. And that's pretty much all the birds do as far as I know. Here you go, you can see here. And they'll fly around and do slash damage. And then you can double light verse for more overguard, which I believe it scales with your ability strength. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's how it scales. And then if you do dark verse and dark verse, I'll jump up here, jump up in the air, hit 4, and then anything in your line of sight will just blow up. And then if you do light verse, dark verse, once you activate the ability, it will allow you to summon a mini Noctua. Which I want to say the mini one, you can see here next to me. There's mini Noctua. And it just kind of floats there, and it'll shoot at enemies, I believe. And it'll scan them as you go, so you'll do more status damage, because it'll raise your status chance. And then let me throw a little more overguard on. It does scale with your strength, because before my cap, I believe, was 29,000, and now I'm up to 33. And then we'll hit 2 dark verses here. And then jump up in the air. And there you go. Just big old explosion. And obviously Eximists aren't going to take too much damage from that because they're the Eximists. They have the overguard. But nothing Tord can't handle. You can blow them up. Which, like I said, this Tord build's not finished yet. I'll make a final video once I'm done working on it. But even with it being not fully complete, you can still see that my damage is through the roof right now, which these are level 60 enemies, I'll admit. But this build's not one that, at least for Dante, is not one that I would run in Steel Path personally. But yeah, that's the build for Dante. I hope you enjoyed the video. Sorry for the flashbang. And consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.